On average, mothers do spend considerably more time in caregiving with infants and children. However, there are an increasing number of U.S. fathers that stay home full-time with their children. And so figure 10 shows an increase in this. If you want to look at this from 96 to 2011. And these numbers are in the thousands. So in 96, it was only 40,000. And then in 2011, it was over 200,000. So it's increased quite a bit. Many of these families have career-focused wives, and so they provide most of the family's income. I'm not exactly like this, but I can see how this would work. So I teach full-time online now since March 2020. So I have a lot more flexibility. So I spend quite a bit of time with Leif. And then sometimes I'll take him to different things, like he is enrolled in an art class right now. When I take him to that art class, I'm the only dad I've ever seen at those art classes. Even when fathers don't stay home with their children full time, they do still play definitely a crucial role in the child's development. Global measures of attachment security do not differ for fathers and mothers, but the way that moms and dads interact with their kids does somewhat differ. So maternal interactions tend to be more centered on childcare activities, and then the parental interactions are more likely to include play, so like rough and tumble play. Mothers, they do play with their infants, but the play is less physical and less arousing on average. And then related to these things, children do benefit when fathers are positively involved. Kids with dads that are involved, kids that have dads that are involved do better in school, and then consequently they're going to do better in a lot of other areas too. It's not to say that you absolutely have to have one in the picture, but it definitely can help. It gives you a leg up. And the last thing we talk about in this chapter is childcare. With childcare, many U.S. children experience multiple caregivers. There's about 15 million children under the age of 6 in childcare in the U.S. In part, these numbers reflect the fact that U.S. adults cannot receive paid leave from their jobs to care for young children. With childcare, the settings in the U.S. are going to vary extensively. There's going to be some great daycares out there, and then there's going to be some that are not so great. Approximately 15% of children 5 years or younger attend more than one child care arrangement. And this can be linked to behavioral problems and decrease in pro-social behavior if it is a daycare that's not good. Figure 11 shows the different type of daycare arrangements. So like a child-based care is 28%. A grandparent, maybe 27% is one of the parents staying home to do it. And so when you are looking at a daycare, you do want to make sure that it is a high quality daycare. And those high quality daycare is going to include things that are a safe environment. I mean, obviously, access to age appropriate toys, participation in age appropriate activities, and a low caregiver to child ratio. If there's 50 toddlers in a class, I can't even imagine. The daycares that I've seen are usually under 10 with one caregiver. For kids that are like 3 years of age, the infants is going to have to you're going to have a lot lower of a caregiver ratio because there's a lot more interaction that you're going to have individually with the kids. Once they get to 3 or 4, they're able to play with their peers some, and so you don't have to be focused on each one of them individually the entire day. Children are more likely to experience poor quality childcare if they come from families with fewer resources. So you might not have the money to pay for the better daycare, and so you have to send your kid to the daycare that's maybe not as great, and so that could lead to issues. All that being said, the book does list some advice for parents that are sending their kids to childcare. The first thing is to realize that the quality of your parenting is going to be the key factor in the child's development. How you interact with the child is going to be more important than what happens at daycare. You want to make decisions that will improve the likelihood that you'll be a good parent. And so this is probably going to be related to, for a lot of people, it's going to be related to their occupation. So do both parents need to work full time? Is it better if one of you just works part time so that you can provide better childcare? Can one of the parents work from home? And that's becoming more commonplace, especially since, like I said, March 2020. You want to monitor your child's development. If your child starts to seem a little bit weird, maybe it's going to be related to the daycare. Maybe they're spending too much time in daycare. There are some studies that show that that like 35 hours a week and under is not going to be that detrimental to a child's development. But once you get over like 40 hours a week, 40, 50 hours a week that they're spending in daycare, that there can be some outcomes for that are negative. And then yes, The final word of advice I give for parents is you want to take some time to find the best childcare place that you can find that's available in your area for the amount of money that you're going to be able to spend. All right, so that wraps up the chapter on emotion. I hope you found something interesting in that. Thank you very much for listening.